Hi, my name is Jeffrey Andrews. I'm a registered social worker. I am a manager at Christian Action Center for Refugees, but I'm also a campaigner for ethnic minority rights in Hong Kong. Do lots of different talks and awareness bringing for our community. So growing up in Hong Kong was complex for me because, when I went to secondary school, it was unlike my mainstream friends, my local Chinese friends. We went to segregated schools, so very unique when I went to a school called Delia. Upper floors were all local Chinese, lower floors were all ethnic minorities. There was no interactions with each other. So that kind of created this very complex identity crisis for me. I didn't know if I was a Hong Konger, I wasn't Indian enough. So growing up, I faced lots of challenges, and there was a lot of discrimination. Remember, I was talking about 20 years ago, there was no really terminologies like ethnic minorities. We were just called, others. So it was very, very tough, just struggling through that kind of environment. And I think around me, I also never saw any great examples. We had hardly anyone that was going into Form 6 and Form 7. Getting past that public exam was so tough, and we weren't taught Cantonese, we were taught English and French. So that created even more isolation amongst myself and my community. For me and many of my friends, we end up just sticking with each other. So my Pakistani, Indian, Nepalese, Filipino friends, we just stick with each other, playing football with each other, and hanging out with each other. And that was quite odd because, I saw society outside of my circle as local Chinese, but we weren't making friends with each other. And that was quite a challenge for me growing up. And for me, I think big change was a local Chinese social worker named Fermi Wong, when she showed me there was a world outside of this, and Hong Kong is supposed to be inclusive. So one of the big things that changed for me was when she hosted one of the first cultural events where she brought in local Chinese communities and us, and we got to perform for each other and showcase our culture. So that was a big change for me, that I thought, oh, this is what Hong Kong is supposed to be like. And that was in early 2001 and 2. So that was when I started to realize, hey, I belong in this city just like everybody else. And then that slowly progressed, and here we are today, 2024. We're even changing the ethnic minority terminology to ethnically diverse. So what a huge change. My community made it multicultural. So that's what makes Hong Kong so beautifully unique. So how did I get into social work? Well, you heard my story. It was a tough upbringing in Hong Kong with the complexity of identity and integration. Unfortunately, after high school, I walked a very wrong path. I ended up being arrested. And it was this local social worker that came and saved my life and literally found me a lawyer and just helped me navigate this very complex system. I saw the impact of a social worker. And what the social worker told me, Fermi Wong, was like, hey, there's no social workers from your own community serving our community. And I thought, yeah, how is that so, odd, where so many of our community members were in such need. And that's when she opened up the schools to say, hey, enroll ethnic minorities. Before my time, ethnic minorities were not allowed to enroll in the social work program, which is so, that's discriminatory. And she fought that system, and me and 2 others were one of the first test cases in the social work program. And I'm really proud to say 2014, I became one of the first ethnic minority registered social workers. Now our last count was 30, and also found out a week ago, over 30 are also in the social work schools and programs. So hopefully in about 10 years time, we're gonna have 100+ social workers. So I saw the impact of a social worker in my life, how she changed, and I thought I now have the responsibility to try and hopefully change the community, my community. I think for me, it's really putting yourself out there, and I think I've learned in Cantonese there's something called lok sao lok gek, which means really getting your hands and feet on the ground. And I saw that with Fermi Wong, the social worker that literally came at 4 a.m., bailed me out when I was in a police cell. And that showed me you can't just be someone on the phone and I'll be there, just find your way. No, it's someone that needs to really go out there. And that's something I ingrained in my team as well, to not just sit in our offices and our desks, but to go out and really make impact in the community. So that's me. I love the work that I do because you really see the difference in people. You see how people's lives are empowered and enriched. So for me, it's getting out there, making sure you're hand in hand with the client in the beginning stages, and hopefully they're on their way, and that's the greatest form of empowerment. Look, growing up, even I faced it, right? I'm a Hong Kong resident, born and raised here. I hold a Hong Kong ID. Even I get discriminated. Imagine a refugee. They hold this huge A4 paper. They're darker skinned. They don't speak Cantonese. Some of them from Middle East and Africa, where many of the Hong Kongers have never interacted with them. So, it's a lot of solidarity with what they go through. So for me, again, what we're trying to do is to raise awareness and be a platform for exchange and dialogue. Something I'm really proud of in the last couple of years. People used to call everyone fake refugees, but I think the work that we've done in bringing in people into Chungking Mansions, where we are already facing so much stigma, and then refugees as well. Now, as an ethnic minority youth, they still till today struggle from a sense of belonging, and that's why we're trying to push that boundary. And I'm really proud of this generation now. Many of them read and write Cantonese. Many of them are pushing the boundaries and going into higher education. But is it enough? No, absolutely not. And that's why the work of you guys and us are still very important. Hopefully, in 10 years' time, we will no longer have to classify our community as ethnically diverse or ethnic minority or non-ethnic Chinese, but we can all be just called Hong Kongers. And that's a dream, and I think it's very much alive. And I see, especially now in this critical time in Hong Kong, very complex time, that ethnically diverse community plays a huge part in the continued contributions as we have historically. I'm very proud of what you guys are doing here at Empower You because, when I was growing up, we didn't have this. I remember failing my Form 5 exam results, and none of my school teachers were there to say, hey, there's a plan B, there's another way out, and it was only my social worker. So I'm really grateful to you guys as well, this platform that you have now to show them different careers and also mentoring. I wish I had that 20 odd years ago. I probably would have a very different trajectory in life. So I always say one thing: seek help when you can, and there's help all around us. If I didn't call that mobile number 923-76464 at that jail cell, I would not be here today. So use all the opportunities you have. Honestly, I don't want to say it this way, but we shouldn't be failing anymore with all the stuff that's around us, the platforms and the support. So seek help when you can, and you have this great platform and wonderful colleagues that empower you. So there's no doubt that our lives as an ethnic minority in Hong Kong is tougher and harder. There are many obstacles along the way. But I always say one thing, I think my life has taught me one thing: you'll fall, you'll pick yourself up, and you just keep going. And that's the kind of Hong Kong mindset that we've always had, it's the Lion Rock spirit. And one thing I must say again now, there's so much more support out there. One thing I will again challenge our community, our ethnically diverse community: seek help. I know it's in our culture, not to do so, but I think I've done it, and I continue to do so. Even now, 16 years on, as a manager, as a seasoned social worker, I'm still making phone calls and saying, hey, I need help. So please do that, and you never know how far that goes on. And I'm sure you will return help back, just like that social worker helped me years ago, and I still continue to help others because I know what it's like when someone's out there needing help. Yeah, Diversity Hub is Hong Kong's first ethnic diverse museum. So it's an ethnic minority museum, cultural space, and a youth training center. So really excited. Again, why? Because our textbooks in Hong Kong don't talk about our contributions, how long we've been here in Hong Kong, and the amazing achievements as we've been part of the economic success of Hong Kong. That's something we want to take ownership back and own the narrative. So I'm really excited for this. I think there's so much potential, not just for our community to come in and visit, but really the local Chinese community, the tourists, the mainland immigrants that come in and see that Hong Kong was a multicultural society way before 97, and not just after 97, but since 1841, that's our first recorded history in Hong Kong. the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Nepalese, the Filipinos, the Bangladeshi, the Sri Lankans, now even the Africans make Hong Kong so vibrant, and I think we need to take ownership of that. So looking forward to making sure that it is inclusive, that everyone is represented. It's not just an Indian museum, it's not a police museum, it's not a Gurkha museum, it is everything that we've achieved together. So it's going to continue to evolve and grow. We need all of you out there to come and support us. One of the most important things as a South Asian, I think, is to make our parents proud. That's really important, and I think, we don't do that enough. They've made so much sacrifices along the way for us, so make them proud. And again, I think seek help. You're gonna fall a lot of times from 14 to even today. I'm 39 and I'm still falling, but it's how you pick yourself up, and sometimes you need help. So I say continue on that trajectory. Don't give up on yourself. I could have given up in that jail cell, but I'm here today, and I see many of my friends around me. They continue to never give up on themselves and their community. So yeah, make us proud, guys. We look forward to many more breakthroughs for our ethnically diverse community. My favorite thing about being a social worker is every day I don't just sit in a computer and type away. I meet people and I can actually see the difference, and I think that's the joy that I have in, we call it the helping profession, and it's really true. There are some bad days as well, don't get me wrong. Some days you just think, what am I doing here? But I think every morning I wake up and I know it's going to be different. I'm not going to just sit there and have an email, but I have real people with real problems, and you're part of that change process. And again, you're not a superhero, but you're part of that journey with them. So remember, the heroes are our clients that have to survive and have the resilience, but you are part of that journey. So come and join the social work profession. If you're interested, come and meet me. And we have so many superheroes now, over 30 of us, so come and join us as well. One of my most highlight story is one of my clients. He was an alcoholic, huge problem. I mean, at the back of Chungking, drunk, and just, fainted every day. And the cops would call me, Jeff, please come and pick up your client. Please drop him off in the hospital, numerous times now. And then finally we had to put him into a rehab, and he relapsed twice. And again this time, and I'll never forget when I came back and I saw him at the back of Chungking, he was literally gone. And I told the officers, if we don't bring him straight into the actual hospital that is specialized for him, we might as well just bury him. And I'll never forget when the cops came, they got 4 motorbikes in front of us, they put him in a private vehicle, he slumped on my shoulders, and they put the sirens on and they drove him like fast speed all the way to Kwai Chung, and I'm like, what is happening here? And I remember they coming back to me and they say, look, we don't even do this for the CE back in the day. This is how, we really value the work that you're doing and also this client's life. He came back out, that guy, this lovely gentleman, I'm just gonna call him Richard. Till today, he hasn't had a drop of alcohol. He was actually the DJ at my wedding and recently moved to Mexico, got married. And, I always tell him, Richard, do you ever remember you were slumped on my shoulder once? He's like, no, I don't even remember that. But that's social work, and that's sometimes you just, you enjoy those moments and you see someone's life completely change, and you were just a small part of that. And I thank all the other people, like the cops. Sometimes you never think that they, with their image that they have, but they were part of that journey. So I'm so glad to be a social worker, and I get to use all of my community partnerships to make that change. To be very honest, I was very ashamed of telling people I was working in Chungking Mansions in my first year. People would say, oh, Jeff, where do you work? I say Christian Action, and I would never tell them the branch. Because again, even in our own community, we have so much stigma on this building. But I think about 2019, it really changed, that I thought, this is so unfair, because these are everyday people like me, working hard, trying to make ends meet. And just like every other place in the world, in Mongkok, and you have bad things happen, but why is it that Chungking, we're so magnified and targeted? And that's when I thought, let's run these tours in Chungking. And I'm so proud that we run these things, because now we give ownership and respect back to the community. And most important, I think, as a social worker, is dignity. I mean, whenever I see the tours as we run, Akka is very famous with her masala tea. You can just see the pride that she has when she does it, and she's serving the local community. So I love it, and I'll always say one thing: Chungking Mansion is the only place in Hong Kong that you'll feel human. Why? In the morning, try say good morning to your neighbors. It's like you swore at them. They don't even return anything back. But here, in the morning, they're already starting, hey, chai PA, which means come and have tea. You know, there's this human interaction. So I always say, you know, come in and feel human in Chungking. That is a hard one. You know, a lot of people say, Jeff, do you regret your younger days? And I think for me now, 39, I would say no. I think I needed all of that in my life to be where I am today. If I had an easy upbringing and all not, I think I would have been taking it for granted. And I do look at many of my friends today who've achieved so well and they've taken the right path. They look at me and say, Jeff, you know what? You've actually lived a fulfilling life. So I think only thing I would say is maybe I should have asked help earlier. I wish I did that. Maybe I would have had different opportunities as well. So only regret that. But apart from that, no, just keep going. You're gonna fall. I'm still falling. But pick yourself up and keep going. There's so many people around that you realize love you and support you. When you're down, you just realize who your community and true friends are.